Hello, friends, and welcome aboard once more here inside Van Dixhorn Arena on the campus of Trinity International University. My name is Ethan Oskroba, and I will be hanging with you all evening long as your TIU Trojans take on the visiting V-Hawks of Viterbo University. The Trojans coming into this one without the start to the season that they were seeking. They're 0-4 on the campaign so far, but they've already broken new ground on a variety of occasions as they start to find their rhythm playing for the first time since 2015 with this Trojan men's volleyball program. Viterbo is off to a solid start. They're 2-1 on the year, though interestingly enough, both of these teams have suffered a conference defeat to the Fighting Bees of St. Ambrose, the only common opponent so far. Here we go. Ethan Losinger getting us underway. Viterbo with the first attack, and this one is clobbered down. That is Juan Banda, one of the leading killers for this team, and now we'll get to see what he can do in the service effort. Out there for the Trojans, it's Paul Martinez, Matthew Perry, Soren Halverson, Jalen Thompson, Jarrett Weiler, and Ethan Losinger to start it, as that's Halverson laying out, but he's unable to corral the serve. So a hot start for Banda. He's got himself a kill and an ace, and Viterbo is off to a fast start, out in front 2-0. Long run up here, and this one served from deep. Dig with the palms up by Thompson, and that's Matthew Perry detonating on the Viterbo defense. Matthew Perry has really shown something early on for these Trojans. He's second on the team in kills, already accumulating 13 on the young season. Here's Paul Martinez, the team's leading killer, with 16. On the outside, not much potency behind that attack from Alex Kratzenstein. Now miscommunication by the Trojans, but that one is pinpointed in the corner by Soren Halverson in the scramble. Halverson, the fifth-year man from Minnesota, a man who's always playing with a level head out there, showcased his ability with his real breakout game last time, and now this one's mishandled, so the Trojans jump out in front. Service ace for Martinez. Starting to see some of the key cogs here early. Halverson had himself 5 kills last time out, as this one sails too far for Martinez. Martinez off to a great start this year. He's got himself the aforementioned team lead with 16 kills, though that one is blasted a little too far past the end line. It's 3 apiece. Served by Daxton Marshall. Losinger flips it across the court. Halverson tried to get that one to sit, and now this one caterpillars over the Trojan block. The score to Viterbo as they reestablish a slim lead. Marshall checking in, the freshman from Oklahoma. A lot of freshmen being relied on, young players on both of these teams, as Matthew Perry brings the hammer down despite the diving effort by his fellow freshman, Kuher. Now Jarrett Weiler to serve it for the Trojans, a swingman in and out of the starting lineup. Has been solid in a multitude of roles so far. This one takes a tip off the block, and that did not play to the advantage of the Trojans. The partial block settles in there, and that's a kill for Jacob Nahn, who just a couple of days ago recorded his 1,000th career kill. Very solid player for a long time for these V-Hawks. Perry on the edge, blasts it down off the top of the block, and corral miscommunication now, as lunging to flip it back over was Joe Todd. Here is Thompson on the edge, and he will batter this one through, so the Trojans keeping pace with their conference rival. Lots on the line here for Trinity. This is a Trojan team that has been defunct since 2015, and they did not win a game in that one-off season, so they're looking for their first win since 2001. Matthew Perry now with the serve, and he'll slice that one wide. Perry will check out in favor of the libero Parker Lundberg. Matthew Perry, such an interesting player for these Trojans. The talent is so obvious. The athleticism is tremendous. And he's just continuing to take better and better to the finer points of the game, as this one is smashed too far from Nunn, so the team's trading service errors, and we're tied at 6. But Perry's potential is unbelievable. This coaching staff, Coach Luke Ward, Coach Kennedy Mang, and all the Trojan faithful really sky high on his potential, as he's already showing what he can do as he adapts to this new sport. Now a bad set will force Caleb Koza out of position, and the Trojans nose into the lead. 7-6 TIU. Now Halverson, coming off his strongest game of the campaign, lasers it down the right side. Little give and go. Martinez is there. Losinger just shoves it in to the vacated floor. And the Trojans with a little bit of separation, 8-6. That is a play that Coach Ward, Coach Mang love to enact there, and they love having a dynamic setter. We see it all the time from Anna Skripchak on the women's team. As the Trojan wall holds firm, Martinez paddles it down. But you've got to love what Losinger is capable of. And timeout called by Viterbo. So Trinity feeling themselves a little bit on a streak here. They catch fire and force Viterbo to call for the pause in the action. Trojans taking the fight to their opponent here at Van Dixhoorn, looking to rally and claim their first victory. The results haven't always been there for this team in the early going, but a lot of positive signs have been apparent to anyone watching these contests. This is a fairly deep Trojan team. They've got several players that they deploy off the bench and trust with significant roles. This team is truly a brotherhood. They've really come together, and it's really been amazing to see the way that this team has gelled, considering when you have an upstart program like this, you've got players from all different backgrounds. You've got a player like Matthew Perry, who is a football player in the fall, and then you've got a bunch of guys that have just been focusing on academics, playing for fun, and now you get a chance to be a collegiate. And to see that team gel and bond has been tremendous. They're back in action here as this one is sizzled wide of the mark by Koza. So Trinity out to a 4-point advantage. The Trojans, a couple of games ago, claimed their first set of the year against Rockford, and now they're on their way to doing more than that. There goes Banda careening into the twine, and it's Trinity by 5, so the timeout does nothing to stem the tide. Trinity continuing to come right after the V-Hawks. Here's the set. Banda blasted through. Great effort by Weiler to keep it alive, and the two-tap defensive try in the front does not come to fruition, as Losinger and Martinez each got a paw to it, but neither man could control. Viterbo with their first serve in a long time, and it's too far. Brilliant read on the back line by the Trinity contingent of Halverson and Lundberg as they watch that one sail just past the boundary stripe. Now Jalen Thompson, the high arcing lob, dig by Nunn, comes all the way out in front, and that is Paul Martinez. The serve making that whole play possible. And Martinez, he's just got a knack for being in the right place at the right time. A fearless attacking player, Paul Martinez. Now Thompson shoots this one a bit too far. So Trinity coming on strong against this Viterbo team. Kuher will check back in to serve. Lundberg with the nice dig, setting up Martinez with some touch. Great athletic play by Banda to nullify the kill. Now Halverson from the back line, and he misjudged that strike. So a rare miscue from a Trojan team that's been very sharp here in the early going. They've struggled with attacking errors a little bit early on, but not the case tonight. This one now right through the hands of Halverson. So Viterbo trying to go at least what they perceive as the weak link in Halverson. Of course, Trojan fans know better than to observe him as that. But volleyball, a merciless sport. They'll go right at you if you're not feeling your best. Now Martinez out in front through the block, but back to Viterbo. There's Halverson with a nice answer. Martinez chipping it over. Diving effort to keep it alive by her, but the point to Trinity. A scrappy play, and the Trojans just outlasting the V-Hawks there. As Perry will check back in. Impressive work from the Trojan attack so far, especially devoid of one of their starters to begin the year, as Losinger overmeasures this one. But Laziah McDaniels out of action tonight, a starter in the Trojans' opening game, and he is out with a lower body injury, so a big loss there. The Trojans doing whatever they can to replace his contribution. They've been solid so far. Here's Perry right on the line. A pinpoint strike from Matthew Perry as he continues to roll. As so do the Trojans, up by 4, and they are closing in on a potential set 1 victory. Martinez gallivanting up there, off the top, nearly caught off guard, but he does dig it out. Easy snag for Losinger rather. Now Weiler chips it back down. Out in front, sliced wide by Alex Kratzenstein, and Trinity maintaining that 5-point margin. Scrappy play from the Trojans, staying error-free, and that's been a nice recipe so far. Good adjustment here by Thompson. Back set for Weiler. Sends Banda on a side-winding mission, but he does recover. And now a great strike from Juan Banda. So the senior from New Mexico coming up with a big play as Viterbo trusts the veteran. And that was a nifty strike from the back line. Now Marshall. For Halverson, a little too strong. And the Trojans got some fingers in the metaphorical cookie jar, extending over the line of demarcation. And that'll lead to the score for the V-Hawks. Nice dig by Halverson here. Now he'll have a go at it. Crafty work by Banda. He's got it, and Non blasting it through the Trinity resistance. So 3 in a row for the visiting V-Hawks. And they are threatening to come all the way back. Timeout by the Trojans. Coach Ward sensing the urgency as the Trojans were blasting their opponent early. But Viterbo coming back strong. And we have got ourselves a nip and tuck first set. Trinity 16, Viterbo 14. Well, it's a crazy history for this Trojan team. A team that had some pretty special accomplishments back in the day, had a legacy of success, and was a force to be reckoned with, especially in the mid to late 90s, but then the program goes defunct in the early 2000s. They're out of action for a decade and a half, come back in 2015, do not win a game, and that team falls apart. And then you've got Coach Ward. He totally turned this women's team around from a 3-win season to this past winter, an NCCAA national title. And he says, you know what? I want to do this thing again on the men's side. And it may be a process, but that process is certainly underway as Thompson mishandles the serve from Marshall out of the timeout. Here goes Daxton Marshall, the freshman, coming in to serve on several occasions here, but he is unsuccessful in that pursuit now, and a much-needed bit of respite for the Trojans as they get back on the scoreboard, trying to fend off this Viterbo siege on their two-point advantage. This one palmed down by Jaden Wiest. A nifty play from Wiest, the team's leader in assists, by a long shot. Now Wiest with the serve, the freshman putting it over off the rafters here in a tough break for Trinity. That one is mishandled, and all of a sudden, we are even at 17. Give credit to the V-Hawks, and this is part of the growing pains perhaps for this Trojan squad. It ain't over until you hit 25. And this Trinity team will be tested if they're going to claim set number one. This one bashed down by Nunn on the outside. Halverson got a fist to it, but not enough. And now Viterbo has reclaimed the advantage. A blistering stretch from the V-Hawks. And all of a sudden, it's the Trojans that are under duress here late. Weiler's got the dig. Back set Martinez, and it'll just be shoveled on down by Thompson. Here's Nunn. Has a full head of steam. Martinez got to it, but it sails over the scorer's table. And another point stashed by the visiting squadron. Time out, Coach Ward and the Trojans. Well, it's a game of streaks and runs. If you've been along for the ride through the magical season that was the Trojan women's volleyball campaign, you've heard me say that a million times, and it certainly holds true in the men's game as well. It's all about getting hot, and no margin is ever too large to overcome. Viterbo showing that with an inspired comeback, a spirited effort that has led to them evaporating a 5-point deficit and morphing it into a 2-point lead. Trinity far from done, but they have got to find a way to rekindle some momentum. Coach Ward urging his squad onward. And we will see if they have the closing spurt to claim their second set of this brand new campaign. Well, it's Weiler, Martinez, Halverson, Thompson, Losinger, and Perry, the group trusted by Coach Luke Ward in this situation. Martinez, the dig. Losinger lofts it up for Thompson, who gets stifled in the front. Jotad and Caleb Koza combining on the stuff. And Viterbo just 5 scores away from salting away the opening set. Here is Wiest, the freshman and the team leader in assists, as Halverson comes up a bit short. So Trinity playing with fire here. Time running out. What do they have left? Wiest been serving for a while, looking to stay strong, and it's on the line. Martinez tried to usher that thing out, but it's dropped right on the boundary. Martinez took a gamble, looking to get momentum back on the Trinity side. And just a perfect play from Wiest. Losinger shuffles it forward to the corner, just too far from Matthew Perry. If that missed, it did not miss by much. But Perry just a little bit erratic on what was nearly a momentum-changing strike. The Trojans gotta have it. Perry shuffles into this one. That is too far. And maneuvered its way through the thicket of Viterbo defenders without a touch. So blinking you'd miss it, but it is set point for the visitors. Wiest looking to end it through the hands of Halverson. And it is all over. A disappointing start for the Trojans, who came on strong but crumple throughout the later stages of the set. A Trinity ambush repelled and countered by the Viterbo V Hawks. Trojans showing some promise, and we've seen this from them on a variety of occasions this season. The talent is there, the ability is there, it's the consistency that they're still growing into. And the way they played in the first portion of that set is going to have a lot of Trinity fans excited about what this team can do. It's all about establishing a culture, establishing this program once again at Trinity. And I don't think there are too many folks around today who witnessed that 2015 campaign, but this team just feels like it's got a lot more staying power this time. First of all, it's just the spirit surrounding this team, the ability these guys have, and you sense the desire of these guys to be great and to give it their all, and they are well on their way to establishing themselves on the court. But even outside of that, you think about the tremendous coaching presence that they have with Coach Ward and Coach Mang, who have already proven that they're capable of turning a program around and starting one from scratch. They are very confident in that aim as well. But also just the reception that this Trojan team has gotten. Opening night here a couple of nights ago was just an unbelievable atmosphere, a playoff type of atmosphere. These fans knew that they were witnessing history, and even though it's a bit of a smaller crowd here at Van Dixhoorn tonight, just the same type of positivity is surrounding this team wherever they go, and that is in large part due to the Trojan faithful that have got their back at every turn. There is no shortage of positive sentiments surrounding this ball club, but I'm sure that anybody involved with it would tell you that they want to start seeing the results. And it may be a painful process, it may take a little bit, but this is a team that I think is on the verge of making some pretty special stuff happen. And they showcased it there in the opening set, just could not finish the deal. We'll see what kind of adjustments Coach Ward and Coach Mang have got for their squad as they trot out there for set number 2. Once again, you've got Perry, Halverson, Weiler, Thompson, Losinger, and Martinez out there for the Trojans. That appears to be their bread and butter lineup. Of course, you've got the talented libero Parker Lundberg coming in off the bench to do some of the dirty work. He's been very sharp in a defensive capacity for Trinity this year. And here we go. Set number 2 is ready to roll. Here goes Banda from way behind the end line, and it's past the other end line. So a solid start for Trinity. They take advantage of the miscue by Juan Banda, the team's second leading killer. Very distinctive manner of serving, but it didn't help him out there as this one is poured in by Halverson and the Trojans. Now Martinez lofts it on over with the fingertips. Cross court set. Halverson with a great fisting dig. Thompson running onto it. Viterbo survives, but a great bit of work by the Trojans to stay alive. Now Halverson taking aim. Wiest setting up Kratzenstein, and he finally puts an end to an entertaining sequence. Boy, Halverson, we saw him have a couple of misplays in the first set, but he turns the page, and he's got himself a highlight reel full extension dig there, unfortunately to no avail. Now this serve coming up short from Daxton Marshall. So Trinity, for the second consecutive set, is out to a slim lead. Weiler down the right side. Non has that. This one is bashed through the block by Todd. Trinity had the right personnel up there. Just a solid strike from Todd through the hands of Thompson and Matthew Perry. Halverson has got it. Losinger with a good job to keep that from going over the net. Great improvisation from the Trojans, but this one's pinpointed on the boundary stripe. And Viterbo now reclaims the lead. Well, here's the dangerous Jaden Wiest. We saw him with a tremendous string of service earlier. See if the Trojans can get him out of there in a service capacity here. Now he will set up Nahn, who drops it on the line. Jacob Nahn, the team's leading killer, averaging nearly 4 per set entering the night, and he is adding to that impressive total of 45 kills so far this evening. Weiler lunging for it. Now here's Martinez with some touch. Nice play by Wiest. That man is everywhere, but Perry will slap it down. A smart play by Matthew Perry. He was not messing around with that, sensing the empty space on the Viterbo side and just slapping that one downward. Now Perry with a nice serve here. Chases Nahn outside of the boundary, but Viterbo staying alive. Losinger, back set for Martinez. Viterbo keeps it up once again. Now Perry's got it. Losinger with a great job to keep it up. Now Nahn hits it, and the Trojans outlast the V-Hawks on an epic sequence. Both teams going at it, emptying the tank, improvising, showing off their athleticism and instinct, and the Trojans find a way. Now Perry just past the end line here. That one missed by maybe 4 to 6 inches from Perry, but that is all it takes. Here's Nahn, the leading killer, now to serve. There is Lundberg with one of those many digs he's accumulated, and Martinez blasts it through. An absolute bomb from Paul Martinez. Martinez has just got an edge to him when you watch him play. You can just sense the chip on his shoulder. Brings a lot of energy. He is just fearless. Just 5'10" on the outside, but he will go right at defenders, even if there's 2 or 3 of them in the area. And now there's Banda slicing this one beyond the boundary. So Trinity has clawed their way back, and they've got a 6-5 advantage now. Martinez is set to go as the team chants his name. This one comes up short, and we're evened up at 6. Well, moments ago on the Trojan bench, you know, if you've got any questions about the camaraderie of this team, Matthew Perry, when he checks out, he high-fives everybody, and then him and Gabe Gardner, number 4 for the Trojans, go up for a chest bump of sorts, and here's Lundberg recovering there. This one's in the rafters and now will hit the ground, so tough luck for the Trojans. But Perry gets to the end of that line, and him and Gardner both leap into each other, and just always a comical moment. Gardner listed at 5'6". Matthew Perry 6'4", and Gardner definitely taking the worst of that, but willing to sacrifice to fire up his teammate. Good vibes only on this Trojan squad, as this serve goes a little bit too far, so we will see Jalen Thompson set to serve it, lofts it up high and bombs it down. Now Wiest quickly in sync to Kratzenstein. And they'll award it to Viterbo. A little bit of confusion. Not sure if that one touched a Trojan on the way out. But it's a score for the V-Hawks, who have got a slim advantage. Here's the freshman, and that one is just wide. Great read by Parker Lundberg, the crafty vet Lundberg. We'll watch that one float just past the line. Now Losinger to serve. Losinger far and away the team's leading assist man, dangerous in the service effort as well. Sidewinding dig by Thompson, and Halverson nearly raced into the seats to get to that one, but can't quite retrieve that one. Now here is Banda, who's nearly got his back to the bleachers as he strolls up from beyond the basketball court. Now Perry out in front, he's stuffed. Credit the block to Kratzenstein, who is playing a nice all-around game, the junior from Littleton, Colorado, showing off his versatility here tonight. Now Banda loops it just beyond the back line. That one didn't miss by much. Banda on that long-range effort, and good work by the Trojans to leave it go. Trinity staying in this thing. A very competitive ball game so far. Weiler will check out. And here goes Halverson. Over the middle. Banda's got it. Wiest setting up Non. Non through the block. And of course, as soon as you enter the game, they will find you no matter what the sport. That is Evan Ovey getting his first action tonight. And he is found by Non, who bursts it through his attempted block. Halverson's got this one. A little bit of miscommunication, but the Trojans are able to recover. Out in front, and it's pulled down by Todd, who was falling away from it. A flexible release by Joe Todd, who is a lengthy 5'10". And good body control for him to score that one. Now Losinger sets up Martinez. A little bit off target. Now Non on the edge. Good dig by Halverson. That one works its way through the rafters and back to Martinez, who puts it down. Now Banda will have a go. Thompson got a piece of it, but it wasn't enough. That one bounced off of the brick wall on the side of the gym, but this isn't racquetball, and that would not have counted, even had Soren Halverson been able to reach it. Timeout called by the Trojans. Trinity again showing what they're made of, right in it. But a couple of strings of strong Viterbo play and just a few Trojan errors have got the Trojans trailing by a slight margin, 13-9. Well, this is such an interesting Trojan team that you've got. This first iteration of the Trojan squad in several years. And it's always really interesting to see the unique flair that each of these guys are bringing. So many of these players coming from another sport. You've got Parker Lundberg used to be a baseball player here at Trinity. Got Matthew Perry, a football player this past fall. And then you've got plenty of guys that have either just arrived on campus here at TIU or have been here but have not played the sport. And so this team has got a variety of different sources coming together to make it happen as Perry blasts this one away. Out in front, Perry again, but he's stuffed by Wiest. The setter coming up for the block, showing some versatility as the freshman Jaden Wiest. But it is really interesting to see how these guys' styles begin to come together, but also how they retain that level of individuality. And that's one of the fun things about watching this team. You see the personality, not just of the unit, but of each of these individual players and what they bring to the table. Here's Marshall. Halverson mishandled it. Great effort by Thompson as he nearly recovered. Jaden Thompson, or JT as he's known, has really showcased some ability as he's come on. Not an opening day starter for the Trojans, but he could well be a fixture in the lineup if he continues to play at a high level. Now Perry just mistimed his leap, and Viterbo's starting to pull away just as they did in the opening stanza. They've now got a 7-point advantage. What do the Trojans have for a counterpunch? Martinez kneeling for it. Now he blasts it away. And who else but Paul Martinez to restore some order. Number 1 in blue wants all the smoke all the time as he just blasts that one down the left sideline. The team's leading killer adding on in the attacking effort. Now OV will get a serve. Puts it toward the side. None has got it off the give and go. Blocked, but wide by Perry and Thompson. Weiler will check back in as Evan Ovey will head to the bench. The crowd and the team giving him a nice hand as he gets some of his first action on the season and passed the test nicely. Looked good out there for a couple of plays. Now Thompson toward the corner, just wide. And a game of inches as Thompson came on strong and made the best of a difficult broken play. But he pushes it a little bit wide. Now here's Wiest for Weiler. Elementary block there. Martinez. And now Weiler chips it back down. Wiest for Banda on deep, and he's overdone it by a fair bit. Key score for the Trojans as they look to harness a little bit of momentum late with time running out in set number 2. 7-point edge for the visitors. Perry, flat-footed serve. Banda mishandles it. There is Marshall, and are they going to keep it alive? Not quite. My goodness. Daxton Marshall was nearly making contact with the water cooler over there. And that would have been a terrific save from Viterbo, but instead, Perry will record the score for the Trojans. Now this one coming out in front, and Wiest reaches over the line. Trojans have reduced it to a 5-point advantage for the visitors. Looking to catch lightning in a bottle here with Perry in the service effort. Perry blasts it down. Wiest setting up None. Halverson got a piece of it and got it all the way back down. Boy, that was a dig and an attack all in one. Now Losinger for Thompson. Palms it to the middle. Banda has got her, but it's wide. Trojans score again. And just a 4-point Viterbo lead. Perry showing us something in his service game. Nonchalantly pops that one down. Wiest for her. Diving effort by Halverson as he flailed his body toward it. Would have been a terrific save. But Viterbo gets on the scoreboard for the first time in a while as they seek to quell the Trinity momentum. There's a lot of power in that, but Weiler handles it with ease. Thompson running onto it. He was out of sync with his man Losinger. So a slight miscue from the Trojans, and they're still staring down the barrel of a 6-point deficit. There's Lundberg. He's got it. Trinity looking to turn the tide as Weiler falls away. There goes Banda. He's blocked down, and it went off of V-Hawk on the way out. Great block by the Trojan unit. And an emphatic celebration on that Trinity bench. A key play for the Trojans as they look to stay in this thing. Thompson will serve it. Never mind. It is Martinez's turn in the rotation. Smart move from Coach Ward there, conferring with the official as they prevent a lost point there for the miscommunication. Weiler gets a piece of this one, but he's unable to control on the strike from Koza. Koza's made a nice impact off the bench. The 6'4" sophomore showcasing his attacking prowess. Now Todd, the Wisconsinite senior for Weiler. Losinger sets it back for Halverson, who obliterates that one through the Viterbo wall. Boy, you look at guys like Soren Halverson, Paul Martinez, attackers that are significantly under 6 feet, and you wonder, how do these guys get it done? Well, they've just got a dogged determination to go right at you, and they have absolutely no fear. These guys just find a way. A scrappy attack for the Trojans. Trinity keeping it up, but a double touch after that one was sizzled over the net by Banda. And Viterbo just 3 scores away from claiming the set. Coach Ward wants to talk it over. Timeout by the Trojans. Trinity fighting back, but they still trail 22-16. It's always fascinating to watch these Trojan teams during the timeout. And something that we saw a lot during the women's season was the setter Anna Skripchak talking to one of the 2 coaches, either Coach Mang or Coach Ward, on their own. And now you see the coaching staff starting to develop that same type of rapport with their setter of the present and the future, Ethan Losinger. And it's always really interesting to see the cerebral side of this sport and how this coaching staff manages that and manages making adjustments in the context of the game. And with this being such a diverse squad, young and old, all levels of experience, always fascinating to see the way that an experienced coaching staff handles this. I feel like with the women's team, it's a little more hands-off with all the veteran leadership they had. Coach Mang and Coach Ward really getting a chance to be active and take initiative when imparting wisdom on this group here. Martinez reaching for the dig. Losinger getting crafty with it. Pancake effort to keep it alive by her. Denies a highlight from Losinger. There goes Halverson. It's battered back, and Lundberg can't quite get enough. So credit to Viterbo. That was well played by the Trojans. Losinger with a really smart play to try to find the dead space as this one sails too far. Key play for the Trojans there as they are flirting with danger. Viterbo just 2 scores away from salting away a 2-0 advantage. Here goes Losinger. Contorts his body and blasts it away. And there goes Jaden Wiest. This guy can do it all. the versatile setter. We've seen it in the service. We've seen him setting up his teammates. We've seen him work defensively, and now we see him with the kill to cue up match point, or set point rather. Here's Banda looking for it. And it falls at the feet of Jarrett Weiler. A little bit of miscommunication on the Trojan side. And 2 sets have come and gone. Spirited Trojan attacks in both. But the Trojans come up short. And they are going to need to climb all the way back if they are to get their first victory of the new campaign. Well, it's a fun time to be a Trojan fan. Lots to be excited about right now. This team, of course, is really in a unique situation, has had great support from the Trinity faithful. But so many of the Trojan teams in action right now. Trojan softball just getting their season underway. Their first couple of spring contests today, playing indoors amid the frigid conditions here in Bannockburn. Trojan baseball not far off from getting going after the cancellation of their opening series. They are getting ready to get started this coming week. And of course, Trinity basketball continues to be a lot of fun. The Trojan women's team has faced so much adversity this year, but they continue to scratch and claw and put up entertaining contests under their first year head coach, Coach Courtney P.A. And the Trojan men under Greg Miller, such an entertaining team to watch night in and night out. And they have got a chance to do something special this season and postseason. They have really flashed a lot of offensive prowess throughout the campaign. Coach PA of the women's team in attendance tonight. She is such a great ambassador for this Trojan program, just always positive, always supporting Trojan athletics. And they love what she's doing with that Trojan women's team. Even though, much like this men's volleyball team, we've talked about, the results aren't always immediate. It's the process that counts, and I think both that women's basketball team and this men's volleyball team have got the right people in charge to venture out on that journey to reach the heights that they are looking to eventually navigate their way to. Well, the Trojans are ready for action in set number 3. The starters back out there for the blue and white. Perry, Halverson, Losinger, Thompson, Weiler, and Martinez will go to work against this Viterbo team. That will counter with a slightly shuffled lineup. They've got Non, Wiest, Banda, Justin Kratzenstein, the brother of Alex, who will take a seat for the moment. Kuher and Joe Todd out there as well to round out the Viterbo squad. Matthew Perry, after his strong effort in service in set number 2, will look to get the Trojans off on the right foot here. He blasted down the right sideline. Banda's got it, and Banda overcooked it. So Trinity's success rate with Perry back to serve continues as they nail down another score here. Perry pounding that one into the hardwood and now just loops it on down there. And this one too far. That was Justin Kratzenstein getting some of his first action of the evening. The pair of brothers from Colorado. Justin, just a freshman. Showed a lot of ability, but not a rotation player consistently quite yet for them. And his brother, Alex, has been terrific for Viterbo. We've seen him tonight as there goes Banda. He slams it down, and Banda's been a very steady presence for Viterbo. It feels like whenever they need a score to get them back in rhythm, he's been the guy that they have turned to, much like Paul Martinez for this Trojan squad. Now Banda will serve, and this one way short of the mark. And that's when you wonder why he's serving from 10 yards behind the line. That one coming up short now, some confusion. I wonder if the Trojans were out of rotation there. No point has been officially awarded, but Banda is still back to serve. We'll try to get more clarity on that situation as Banda puts it back down. There's Martinez, and he's blocked. Jacob Non is there to stuff him, and Viterbo out in front 3-2. That is indeed the margin, as Viterbo caught a break on the Banda miscue as the Trojans were out of rotation in that sequence. Now Losinger hoists it up for Martinez, who probes the corner into the ceiling off a light, and it took a favorable bounce for Viterbo off one of those ceiling lights, believe it or not. Now Martinez right back at it again. Non on the outside. Martinez with a beautiful dig. Made it look easy, but he's too strong on his attack. Boy, a nice sequence for Paul Martinez, but he gets tabbed with the attacking error to finish it. Now Banda with that basketball inbound one more time. He drops this right on the back line. Here's Martinez. Banda on the spot to grab it. And Kratzenstein coming up short. So a tough start for the freshman Kratzenstein as he is learning on the job here and has a couple of misplays, getting the chance to start set number 3, replacing his brother Alex, who watches from the bench as he takes a rest. Now Martinez hopping and slamming it down. Not a potent attack from the visitors. Losinger puts it up for Thompson, who gets blocked. And Nunn is making waves offensively and defensively in this one. Just one block assist on the season coming into tonight, but he's been a big factor in that capacity this evening. There's Halverson with the quality instincts to get a piece of it. Good dig by Martinez, coming up high, and Weiler did not hit it with the palms in conjunction, and he'll get called for the violation. Trinity just looking to find some rhythm here. So we'll get a stoppage of play. A timeout called, I believe. So a really solid start to the night for the Trojans. They came on strong to open up the contest, having a high watermark of a 5-point advantage. But Viterbo came back strong, claimed the first set, and they haven't looked back. The second stanza was back and forth, but ended up being a fairly comfortable win for the visitors, and Trinity looking to avoid a sweep because, frankly, they have played very solidly. Certainly from time to time. But I think it would be disappointing given the quality of their form tonight if they were unable to pry away at least one set from the visitors. Of course, they're not even thinking about that. They're thinking about going all the way back and claiming the victory, and that's certainly not out of the question, but it will be a tall task for the Trojans we'll see what they have in store for us tonight. Daxton Marshall, the service specialist, will come in as Evan Ovey will check in for the Trojans. Ovey getting some action this evening. Not a typical rotation player for the Trojans, but of course, with Laziah McDaniels out with that lower body injury, they're coming up with more and more creative solutions to get the most out of this personnel grouping. Sharp angled effort from Halverson, but he's unable to put it over cleanly as Weiler's back set put him in a compromising position. Here goes Marshall, the Oklahoma native. Thompson the dig. Weiler getting some action as the setter, blasting it away was Halverson, and there goes Non detonating on the Trojans. Good effort by Martinez. Ethan Losinger has pretty much been the workhorse setter for Trinity, but he's sitting down on the bench, and he was getting checked out a little bit by the Trojan training staff, so hopefully not a serious injury for him. He looked to be all right, but Weiler getting some action at the setter position. Martinez coming up short as he was free to fire, but blasted it into the twine. So Viterbo continuing their strong run out of the timeout. They've carved out a 9-3 advantage. Marshall, couple of Trojans lunging for it. Nice set there, and Thompson is on the money from deep. A textbook strike from JT, Jalen Thompson. And that is a much-needed spurt of energy for TIU. Thompson, one of those players that's very calm out there, does not show a ton of emotion, just goes about his business, and he has been pretty impressive tonight. Banda has got this one. Now Non, very dangerous this evening, and he shows some finesse to go with the power, looping that one down in front of Halverson, who got a touch on it, but was not able to pitch it back toward his teammates. 10-4 in favor of the visitors, and Wiest, who had that stellar service string earlier, will go to work behind the line. And now Martinez finding the dead zone. Wiest misjudged it, and Paul Martinez says thank you very much. Mr. Consistency, Paul Martinez. He's not had a ton of games where he has put up massive kill totals, but he just contributes on a nightly basis for the Trojans. They love his presence in the lineup. The freshman out of Phoenix, Arizona, making his presence felt as Ovey sizzles this one wide. Now Coach Ward continuing to modify his looks with that sixth spot as Mario Combs will check in, the Chicago native, the freshman. Also a football player this fall, as are several of these Trojans. Boy, this one was dug out by Thompson, and it bounced off of one of those cross beams on the ceiling, came all the way back at his feet. That's tough luck, as that was going to work its way over to the Viterbo side. So a difficult break here as Non rushes into that one. Here is Mario Combs, but he is unable to convert on a tough chance there, as he would have had to pitch that one over his head from long range. Timeout TIU, as the first Trojan timeout was unable to help them weather the storm of this Viterbo attack. We'll see if the second time's a charm, as Coach Ward will talk it over with his bunch. Well, this is the first set tonight where the Trojans have really felt overmatched. That's not typical of this team, as they have pretty much been in it with everybody they've faced, and I think Coach Ward's sensing that. He knows he can get better out of his squad. Meanwhile, an update on Ethan Losinger, he's continuing to deliberate with some of the trainers. He was just running some sprints beyond the end line, so we'd presume that he's dealing with some sort of a lower body issue. We'll keep you posted on his condition. He doesn't seem to be in an agonizing amount of pain right now. He's just standing up and calmly chatting with the training staff, but he has not yet returned, as it looks like Weiler will get an extended run at the setter position. Here's Nunn striding into it. Dug up by the Trojans, but all the way back to Viterbo. Potent attack for Banda, rejected by Halverson, and what a play by Perry, and it finally will reach the ground. A sensational sequence by the Trojans. The dig absorbed by Halverson, and that thing changed direction about 3 times while floating about the ceiling, bouncing off of the ceiling infrastructure, and Perry with a great adjustment to record the kill. Great instincts by Halverson and Perry, as this one is killed by Garen Wilming, the freshman from Rockford, Illinois, getting a bit of action, and he records the kill. Now Todd. Weiler flipping it across, and that's the second time we've seen him called for a setting violation. Obviously a bit of an unfamiliar opportunity here for Jarrett Weiler. Doing an admirable job stepping up in the absence of Losinger, who's continuing to jog back and forth beyond the end line between plays as he tries to work out whatever issue he's dealing with. Weiler with a clean set this time for Perry! Matthew Perry absolutely clobbers that one down, and the diving effort of the 6'4" Jacob Nunn isn't quite enough to corral that one. He detonated on that ball, and Perry has got a couple of kills to keep the Trojans within striking distance. Now a block attempt, but it sprays wide, soaring over the scorer's table. Now Herr checks in. Kuher, one of several freshmen being trusted as a part of this lineup for Viterbo, one of their 2 freshman starters alongside the sensational Jaden Weist. Here's Banda queuing up a strike, but Halverson leaves it go. Smart play by the crafty vet Halverson. And Trinity's still got some work to do. They are finding a way. Some nifty soccer skills from Martinez. He kicks that ball up to himself, but it's not his turn yet, as we'll get to see Matthew Perry once again, who earned the trust of Coach Ward and started this set as the Trinity server. We'll see what he's got for an encore here. He loops it on down. Banda's got that. Weist back to Banda. Great dig by Weiler toward the bench. Perry, and Losinger's final touch couldn't quite ease it over the twine. As far as lost points go, that was about as nice as you can make one look. Great effort by Trinity. But Viterbo scores it nonetheless. Now here's Banda inching a little closer than is his custom. And now Thompson cues up a strike right in the corner. He drops it down on the boundary. A perfect precision strike from Thompson, who continues to play at a high level tonight. Doing everything he can to will the blue and white back into this thing. Now Martinez blisters this one, but too far. That was a nice looking strike by Paul Martinez, but got a little too much behind it, as that one sailed maybe 4 to 6 inches beyond that green line. Now Marshall. On the serve, the Trojans scrambling, but it falls in front of the Trinity contingent. Lundberg the closest man to it, but the partial deflection settles that one down. And Viterbo's got a 10-point advantage as this one is dropped on the line. The freshman Daxton Marshall has made a name for himself in service for this team, and he has been really solid tonight. Losinger swoops this one over. Now Todd leaning into it. Lundberg for Martinez, and a violation on the effort by Lundberg. Viterbo just 4 away from finishing the match. Trinity has got their backs to the wall. The energy continuing from the Trojan fans and the Trojan bench. They need one heck of a rally here. This could be the man to start it. Thompson! One more time. JT blasting it down. Thompson, the cool and collected presence for the Trojans, showing the fact that he's got a howitzer for a right arm tonight. There he goes in service. Lundberg scoops it up. Losinger getting crafty with it. One more time for Ethan Losinger. And he is becoming a legitimate threat offensively. This guy can really do it all. And of course, that makes his sets even more dangerous when you've got to worry about the possibility of him going for a kill. Terrific young player for these Trojans, who will have to surrender that point there. As Viterbo retaining the double margin. It's 22 to the visitors and 11 for TIU. There's Wiest. He's sealed away the first set in service. He'd love to do the same thing here as Halverson slams that one well past the line. The Trojans flirting with danger. What can they conjure up late? Halverson out in front. Marshall, great sliding play to keep it alive. Non falling away, pitches it back over. Now Losinger again tried for the kill, but that time Viterbo saw it coming, and they'll get the score here. So match point for the Viterbo V Hawks as they look to deny Trinity's bid for their first victory of the season for the 5th consecutive contest. Here goes Wiest. Lundberg, elementary dig there. Weiler racing into it. Here is Halverson looping it over. Brilliant play by Soren Halverson. And of course, you've probably noticed, but Ethan Losinger back in for the Trojans, and I think that has really breathed some life into their sets here. Their system showing a lot more promise with their man Losinger back in the game. Here's Banda. Soren Halverson keeps it alive, but it's wide of the marker, and this thing is over. A solid fight from the Trojans, who will huddle up after this one. They've got a lot to be proud of. They can hold their heads high, but Viterbo does get it done. Well, thank you for spending your Friday night with us here at Van Dixhorn. The Trojans put up a valiant effort, lead at times throughout each of the first 2 sets, but are unable to quite put it away. Viterbo gets it done in 3 against the hometown TIU Trojans. So that'll do it for our coverage here tonight. My name is Ethan Oskroba.